has a flash. Yike now hits the level, sticks off the minions, but he's gonna die to the Pyroclasm. BrokenBlade will step to the side of it, but they still manage to lock him down for a second. The true shot barrage coming out as well in the end. BrokenBlade falls to the place. Juhan takes him, but Mikyx, flash, ignite. At that time, still remains a question. Summer flashing forward underneath the turret. Juhan caught out down towards the bottom side as well. G2 find two more. It looked hopeful for a second for GIANTX, but G2 will wipe them away. You can take caps, but you cannot take the win. 2-0, G2.
2-0 indeed, as G2 leads the series here and gives us the first match point of this elimination series first. And I do have the feeling that it's not on the right way to not be the last match point. GX not doing great here at all. It was better than the first game, if I may say, still, but not quite enough still.
The bar's in hell. No, but that was a very rough series or game by them. I feel like so much went wrong for them. The top lane was just such a big pressure point for G2. They couldn't really get through that. John was just winning, and the bot matchup as well was super hard. And they really had no lights in this great darkness that is G2.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be so hard to bounce back in a situation like that because it's falling apart everywhere, right? Like, I think Jackie's had that nice play on top side, but even then he's trading 1-for-1 with a support for a mid laner. It's just not working out for them, and it's so rough for GX in this situation. But G2, they're just stomping.
Yeah, so hear me out, right? Like, trying to cook a potential solution for the doom, right?
Put on the apron.
Yeah, so top lane's going to lose no matter what. No matter what you do, Antonio's going to lose, so just completely sack it and keep doing what you're doing. But draft in a way, maybe go to blue side if you're GIANTX, that gives Patrik some more agency, because I think this Ashe pick is really problematic. I don't like that they keep giving Ashe over, giving Handsummer essentially a free lane. I thought maybe they'd even draft a Jhin and flex MF to mid to make that lane phase better for Patrik, but at the very least, set up one of your side lanes for success, because right now they're bleeding out too much.
I mean, we talk about the draft here, but I do feel like even from the setups that they take in game, they don't have the same confidence, and they're not on the same page the way they found success earlier this season. So let's take a look at some early plays here, guys, to see what went wrong, what they could have done better, how they could have positioned better maybe, because it usually goes from the early plays to grab the neutral objectives on top side that don't really go well for GX.
Yeah, and I really just want IgNar to have more agency, because I feel like he's always getting pushed in every single game. Here we see the fight at Grubs, where the Maokai ult actually went wide, and this was the only good fight for GX, because they try to go on IgNar, and they actually based him in super well. Maokai goes for the flash Q, but actually keeps his flash until the end, and they actually get one kill here. But this is the last good play we saw of GX's entire game, because after this it was just a slight descent until madness.
And even then, I think this is one of those situations where they find some avenues in the game by having a misplay by G2 that they're able to punish, but even then they're still falling behind, right? The lanes are still behind because they just individually are not matching up to them, and it's just not enough only finding a few kills at an objective. You need more for them, you need lanes to play through, and I think it's the lack of that I'm missing for GX right now.
Yeah, it's definitely the individual agency. I completely agree with you. And the problem is, like, their comp is fine in theory, right? You have so much AoE damage. It's very meta. You see this in the LCK all the time. You see Brand plus Rell plus whatever, that you just throw in a team fight and it makes sense. But the fact that you're getting Flame Horizon by 28 minutes, the fact that you're down 40 CS at 10 minutes in side lanes, it makes it completely unplayable.
Yeah, I actually think the draft was really, really good by GX. It was one of the best drafts I've seen this year, and I think there was so many good win conditions for them, but they can't just get through this early game. It keeps being this thorn in their side. They just can't get through to mid game being somewhat even. It is very problematic.
Then how do you handle the early game then?
I think it's so difficult, and I think like there's no real way to tell you that they're just going to win against G2 like this, because G2 were the favorites coming in today for a reason, and whatever struggles they had against MDK, they're not really showing up right now. They don't have the same avenues to challenge some of the G2 laners the same way that MDK did. And I think no matter what happens, this might be GX's last game this year. I've really just hoped that they come together and play with pure aggression, because they can't just sit back and lose the game. They need something to play for.
I would really like them to just target one lane, preferably bot lane, and just try to create one winning matchup for them. Whether that is picking Patrik Draven, that is really good on, he showed many times. Just like banning out AD carries and then first picking a Draven, anything to give them one pressure point, because right now they're actually losing every single lane, and there's just no way for Juhan to help them.
We're all gonna take care of the champ select in around 1 minute, guys, so stay tuned. But it gives us time to talk about G2 and their approach, because I remember that we were really critical of what G2 did last week, especially when it comes to the priorities they have in draft, the read they have on the meta. everything game-related aside, guys, what do we think about G2's shifts maybe and the priorities they have coming in this week and drafts who make more sense? Maybe?
I really hope they shift away from the Maokai. Yes, I know it's OP. Yes, I know it's one of the best junglers on the current
Yike is
patch,
with
and
you on that.
It synergizes, you know, so well with so many different champions that have AoE and pick potential like Jin. But the problem I have is that Yike just isn't good on it. I don't know what it is. It looks like mental block potentially, but he always finds a way to die, play team fights or early skirmishes really poorly, and it's really strange because he used to be so good on it.
But in general, rest of G2,
Yeah.
looking really good. I don't think there's a lot we can call out here. I think the bot lane's just been doing their thing. Mikyx again on the Poppy, looking great. BB in the top lane, always having a field day. And Caps against Jackie is looking great too. I mean, Caps had a really horrible series in some of the games against MDK, but there's been no craps in this series. It's just been pure Caps.
It has been pure Caps, and that makes it even more difficult for GX trying to break through something here, because when you're gonna play against this caliber of G2 coming prepared the way they did, I feel sad for GX in the preparation and all the efforts they had coming into summer, and I see a lot of reactions here from GB who's
There
happy
it is, Eragon.
to
There
see
it
the
is.
Ashe ban.
I mean, I was talking about it a lot. I just don't like how they keep giving Ashe. I think Ashe is so unbelievably overpowered, and it makes the lane super unplayable. So now what they're doing is they're targeting AD carries.
That's exactly the MDK ban. This is MDK Game 2 bans on red side from GIANTX. They banned Ashe, Kalista, and Misfortune. They just said, whatever we had planned here didn't work, let's do what MDK did.
But it's also what I like. That's what I said. I wanted to target Hans Sama's champion pool and rather draft a strong AD carry now for GIANTX, because now they actually can't pick on AD carry. They pick the Sivir. They can actually pick whatever AD carry they want. They can go for Draven. They can go for a more meta champion like Jinx that's going to scale well into the team fights. Either way, they have options. They choose the Kai'Sa in the end, which kind of works well with IgNar's champion pool. IgNar likes these engaged champions, and Kai'Sa being the best pairing with those.
Rell being open still, do you want to prioritize this, or what do you want to pair Kai'Sa with?
The only thing I'm worried about is this potential Zeri flex to mid, and then you have Draven into Kai'Sa or something along these lines. But then you maybe could flex Kai'Sa into mid as well. So it's kind of that mind game right now. Maokai is probably the best jungler on the patch, so that's probably what they're going to lock in as well.
Yeah, I wonder how G2 will respond to this, because now the standard option is to go Sejuani into the Maokai and just trade his tank junglers.
Ivern as well.
They
Like in
did
game
go
one.
Ivern game 1, but they also have the chance now to try to branch out a bit and go for the carry junglers like Lilia, but it's gonna be the Ivern coming in because it worked so well in the game 1. No reason to change it.
Yeah, you could secure a Rell or Leona here, and you have just sworn you preserve the Zeri
I imagine
flex
we're
as
gonna
well.
see the Alistar here coming in for IgNar. I think that's just his comfort champion, and he has had so many good performances on it. Good matchup into the Leona and works very into the Rell, I'm sorry, and really good combo with the Kai'Sa.
I think you could also potentially do Brom, right? I think into it as alongside the Alistar.
You could go Brom.
Although you don't have the dive with the Kai'Sa, so
Yeah,
that's
you
probably
could go
better.
Brom, but I feel like IgNar really needs these
Yeah, that's
engaged
true.
champions to be unleashed. You can also go for a Rumble.
I was gonna say,
Rumble Maokai.
I mean, this is what G2 banned in the second ban phase in the earlier, right? And we have seen Antonio on Rumble. I would actually say that it's one of the few champions he piloted where he actually had agency on it. He has had good games on that champion, and I understand why they want to prioritize his Hero on 3. Can just ban out bad matchups of BB up into top side now.
Yeah, and I wonder what BB will play into the Rumble, because yesterday was sort of Cassiopeia, but there's a lot of champions, because Rumble has been
Probably
nerfed.
Kennen, right?
It could be go Kennen as well, but Rumble has been nerfed. It doesn't have that insane damage on his flame speeder level 1 anymore.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about Kennen against when you have Maokai on the other side either. What bans do you want to see here, though?
I think they should consider which AD carries could be good as well for Hansama. I think Jin and Draven could be great into the potential Kai'Sa, bully him out. Also, it synergizes really well, and Jin applies to both champions, synergizing really well with the long range of the Rumble Maokai. So looking at that champion, but instead,
that is assuming that Zeri goes mid, right?
Yeah,
Because there's
yeah.
also the Corki and the Lucian and the Tristana available for caps. Classic AD mid. It's so hard to ban AD carries now for GIANTX. I think you might as well just target top lane bans to try to help this Rumble as much as you can.
There's simply not enough bans. Like, you want to
Yeah.
cover the Rumble, you want to do what Eragon said about bot lane for Hansama, you want Caps not to have all the champions, you can't, there's only 2. And I think GIANTX are just making the decision to say, okay, rid of the Cassandra, rid of the Corki, the cards have been dealt now, let's see how it plays out.
And the standard pick here into the Rumble with a tank top, with Ivern is a tank top, because the tanks do well into Rumble, and with an Ivern you really want someone that meatball that just can walk forward. Like an Ornn is classic, Cassandra also being a very good option. I wonder if BrokenBlade will go into that, or he will choose something more volatile like a Camille that we've been seeing in the LPL LCK a lot.
A lot of hesitation on GX side. To finally go on with Rakan.
And the Rakan is just one of the more residual supports that are left, because they banned the Alistar, Rell is taken, you could go Leona or Nautilus, but I think the Rakan offers a bit more versatility in the engage styles.
Now
and we
that's
see
a champion I like.
okay.
That
So
is a Tristana top, I
interesting
think, or
approach,
Zeri top.
yeah.
Galio. top into Rumble?
Or Galio top? We're very unsure of that. I would definitely imagine it's Tristana top and Galio mid.
Yes.
Okay.
Just because Rumble does struggle against range champions slightly, and having the Tristana to kind of pressure him off with the fleet, space out the harpoons, and then eventually, if you have an Ivern top, you can jump on him, get the Ivern shield, and you just run him down in a long lane.
Sorry, I just have to say I love these drafts where you just have no idea what's going on. As analysts, it's so fun sometimes you sit there and know that there's a meta where you can predict anything right. But in situations like this, we just have no idea what's going to happen. It's such a fresh breath of air, and I've really been loving that in our playoffs so far.
It's a Galio top, okay.
I mean, it's a Kanik angle, I guess, but it sounds really rough.
I have enough top laners next to me to talk me through this matchup on top lane and what we can expect from this year.
So Rumble is definitely gonna pressure out this Galio early game. Rumble is winning against tanks early game no matter what. So Rumble really, the Galio will definitely need a lot of help to get to his first item, but when I think he has his Kanik Rookern, he has a magic shield on top of the Kanik, and he can actually just ignore Rumble straight completely and walk into his face.
And I'm a Shyvana one-trick pony. I have no idea how this functions. Eragon, any word from our Renekton one-trick pony?
The last time I saw Galio top was double Doran's ring meta, and since then I imagine, I completely agree with Finn, I think it's going to be Kanik angle, but until then it's going to be completely bullying.
Let's see if this approach from GX is the one that's going to save them and allow them to push a bit further into this best of 5 against G2, or is G2 going to be the team facing off against Vedius next week? Time for us to send it to the casters for this Game 3. Take it away, guys.
Well, here we go into Game 3. G have lived up to the 2 in their name. The question is the X a 3 or is it a 0 for this series?
Did you just make a math joke?
I did, yeah. So far, X has been equal to 0, and 2 has been equal to 2.
No, I got that.
And 2 might be equal to 3 at the end of this game, but it also might not be.
I think I can unplug them.
Well, hold on
The
to that.
hopes of millions lie on your head right now. As a reminder for everyone watching at home and here in the studio, LEC is on Friday and Saturday next week, not Saturday and Sunday, as we have usually been. Friday will be BDS versus the winner of this game, and Saturday is Fnatic versus MDK.
The last Galio top in the LEC was in 2017 by Fnatic. I don't remember that game. I was just told that. But
I know we heard a lot of whispers of it coming into MSI, saying that it was supposed to be a big thing. I don't know if it was specifically into Rumble. I suppose we're going to find out how good that goes, but I'm excited to see how this one does turn out, because I think a lot of our analysts were very excited to see this at MSI and never got a chance to. So nice of BB to bring it out, even if it's a little bit late.
I just love the fact that we're finally getting to see some interesting counter picks into Rumble. I feel like that when a champion dominates the meta for so long, I'm kind of surprised that teams don't get more creative, but at the same time, I also understand that when you're in an intense regular season and the split moves so fast, sometimes teams just prioritize on getting something that's acceptable, like the Cassante we saw a lot of, right? But now that teams have had a little bit more time to cook, we've been seeing all sorts of things. Corky top, Smolder top, Nidalee top, right? Admittedly, a lot of those did come from a single player.
Yeah, Lulu top.
But now the Galio. So let's see how things play out. Already, we've heard from Finn and the other analysts how this matchup is expected in the early game. And the expectation is that Rumble should be able to bully out, just because Rumble still does Rumble things. But BrokenBlade already looking to try and get some trades in the early 1v1, as we see AD carries across the board.
Welcome to League of Legends. AD carries in every lane, farming minions. BrokenBlade went Justice Punch first. He's running Aftershock in this lane. Sometimes you can see Grasp, but against a Rumble, you never really want to be in range to get those Grasp pots. All you're doing is extending the time at which he can Flame Spit at you. So Justice Punch gets the Aftershock, trades aggressively with the Antonio. Neither of them have burnt their pots early on. I was wondering if perhaps Yike would look for an early gank up towards that top side, because Antonio used his ward to ward out his own red buff, which meant there was a possibility of a gank, but on the Ivern, he's just going to clear his top side jungle and then work down towards the bottom side. The Winds of War there, hitting onto the Antonio. And anyone that's played TFT recently has seen how much damage Galio can do with that Winds of War.
Yeah, I think it's just nice timing here from BrokenBlade. He's like waiting for his Aftershock to come back up before he looks to engage, waiting for that shield on the passive as well, and just making it really difficult for the Antonio to trade.
Did miss a cannon.
Wait, oh no, it's circles.
What are you doing, Medic?
-1.
Oh, stop doing
No. It should be. Where is it? Hang on. Sorry.
Oh,
it should be. You just do this, where you just laugh at it.
Yeah, laugh at him. For the Antonio, stonks are going up. You can check out the new emotes for the LEC teams over the, I think it's the 22nd of August they all come out, sometime this week, I believe.
Soon.
They are coming out, yeah.
Meanwhile, my attention towards Mikyx, hovering around. I think he has been spotted, though.
Yep, gotta say with the Gleaming Quilt going in, Mikyx will be caught out, does still have the crash down, and will use it to escape.
Yeah, unfortunately, GIANTX can see you if you don't move. So Mikyx will get caught, but nice binding.
Someone's going to land as well. Flash away early there by Juhan. Knew the Justice Punch was coming out from BrokenBlade.
Gets the extra movement speed from the rune. The phase rush, and he's got to wait to safety. But a lot of skirmishing happening back and forth. I will say, on the top side, you know, I was expecting Rumble to actually have that early push, so I'm kind of surprised to see BrokenBlade get that control over the wave. And the bot side of the map, due to the early roam from Mikyx, who continues to spend his time around the mid lane, mainly assisting Caps when it comes to being able to put pressure down onto this matchup, along with having the security in the wave. Means that Ansam is just going to be sitting underneath his tower. But seeing the Zeri first pick, honestly, a big surprise for G2. This is a champion that I would say coming into this series, I didn't think Hansama could play. So I think G2 really trying to demonstrate the greater flexibility.
Oh, Caps! Oh, Trigger Seed! Ignite going for it! Looking for the Ignite, can't get the vision onto Caps in the bush there.
I swear that pod actually ended up saving his life. Like the W into Flash auto. Oh, Trader flashes top lane. So some summoner spells are down. Junglers now need to pick their targets and look for some opportunities here, as there's a lot of great gank options. BrokenBlade a nice health advantage over the Antonio. Can he interrupt?
He's just waiting. Don't think he will be able to, but we'll be able to get the shove here.
And no TP for the Antonio means that that wave will get underneath the tower. IgNar can dance back to Patrik and escape the clutches of Mikyx.
I think the big person I want to see get active on Vedius' point is going to be Yike. I mean, you've got TP burnt in both, the flash burnt in both solo lanes and on Juhan. Plus you've got a potential play on Patrik in that bottom side as well with a flash Q from Mikyx. So Yike now looking to maybe make that play mid.
Gonna jump onto Patrik first though. Shattering Strike for the stun. He'll be okay. Underneath the tower, as you say in the mid lane, Jackie's is dead. Pretty much. There we are. The final order from Caps is enough to take him out. And with no flash, there wasn't really much of an escape available to him.
But that's what we needed to see from G2, punishing that flashless mid laner. The wave was in a very awkward spot for Jackie's as well. He was kind of forced to walk up to the halfway point just to be able to try and push that wave underneath the tower. And that's set up for Yike to be able to find the gank from the mid jungle of G2. First blood going over to G2.
Nicely done. The fact that now you can get that control in the mid lane for Caps is going to be great. Get that little bit of an advantage with the Vamp Scepter so you can trade heavily, but Yike now finds the Antonio. 6 for Rumble.
Yeah, Antonio has the equalizer, as you say, but BrokenBlade pretty tanky already, and the equalizer does not live up to its name here. BrokenBlade able to tank it up, and G2 get their second on the board.
G2 again are doing a great job of running this early game. Yike gets the play in mid, he knows he's got pushed, so he starts to move across here, and BrokenBlade, they just solo out the Antonio to set up for the play. Now again, IgNar trying to cover mid, but Mikyx is also here.
That Caps coming in, IgNar there for the cover. Caps flashes over, maybe was looking for the Buster shot back, didn't land it. And yeah, Caps invests his splash there for not too much in the end.
I think you're right, Medic. I think his idea was, oh, if I flash over, I can do some Tristana insect play. Yeah. Then he decided against it and said, yeah, actually, no, I don't win this. So he heads on out with the support of Mikyx. But G2, when we think about the last 2 games, they've not really been very gank orientated. They've been mainly trying to play through the pressure that they have in lanes, but this time around trying to punish those summoner spells, trying to punish the positioning of GIANTX. GIANTX conceding those grubs due to that small skirmish not going their way, but it will allow them to get to this dragon after Caps is now forced to go back to base.
Back towards the top lane, the Antonio struggled a little bit in this lane. Obviously there's been attention from Yike, but also the fact he wasn't able to get a good back timer to buy Sork boots means that BrokenBlade doesn't have to worry too much about his magic damage. You can get that single bit of magic resist with the null magic mantle, and there's no penetration coming out from the Antonio. It becomes a lot easier for BrokenBlade to survive in that lane as we see a dive in the bot side. Twisted advance going in by Juhan. Mob, well, she's rung the dinner bell, but I'm not sure anyone's feeding yet, as Yike is able to force IgNar and Patrik away with a trigger seed on Daisy.
The Antonio's roamed down in towards the mid lane here, though, which Caps was leaning down towards bot side. I don't know if he's going to press up too far, though, especially since BB's probably calling, look, there's nobody in my lane at the moment.
Yeah, Yike using Daisy as a moving ward there to distract Juhan as he takes away the blue. BrokenBlade is going to meet with the Antonio in this bush. Jumps in with a Justice Punch and gets about half his health. Taunt back with that Shield of Duran. Is able to walk away. Yeah, it's so powerful. Balmy Cinder as well just does so much work.
A change they made to Galio, I say fairly recently, was basically they wanted to give more agency to his passive. So they changed a little bit about how it works, and I forget the specifics, but basically you just get to hit them a lot more with that enhanced auto attack, and you can really see the damage difference in some of those extended trades. BrokenBlade now with the magic resistance slowly starting to come through, but mainly that big health advantage just really helping him a lot in terms of being able to get out that trade.
Yeah, it was 14-6, Vedi, where they changed it. It used to be based off his ability haste, and what we see in the mid lane, IgNar jumping in, should be able to dash back out and escape. But yeah, it used to be based off his ability haste, and now it's based off how many times you hit opponents with abilities. So if you hit someone with an ability, it reduces it by 3 seconds. So if you get that combo off, you can get a Colossal Smash at the start and a Colossal Smash at the end of your combo.
Pressure doing here for G2 though. They get a place. Jackie's taken low. They haven't moved Yike into a position here yet, so I think it will just be a case of backing away. But again, G2 starting to get a ton of vision on the top side of the map. And if they can just continue to have BrokenBlade with this pressure on the top side, keep shoving with caps in the mid lane, these turrets are going to start to get whittled down nicely.
Fortunately for GIANTX, they find themselves in a position where they are once again just conceding plates, conceding lane control. And where do they even look for a play to try and gank this Galio? Well, Maokai plus Rumble gonna try and gank. Oh,
nice interrupt there by Mikyx. IgNar should still be able to dance back to Patrik, who is flapping his way to assist his support, but that's a bit of play.
I genuinely just think that GIANTX don't really have the damage anywhere to get a kill. And so they're just kind of forced to weather the storm once again. And G2 loves being in that position because it just means that they can continue to play for plates, leverage the strength of their lanes, and just kind of bully GX in this early game.
It's also like BrokenBlade consistently having push in top means that he can always lean down and cover caps if some sort of play happens in mid lane. Hansama having push in bot means Mikyx is also leaning towards mid. So the windows of opportunity or places you can find those moments to get a gank off are just next to none. And Yike has a field day the entire time because his options are way more open. So I think that's where GIANTX are struggling now. Going to move over towards the Void Grubs. They do a push here, but BrokenBlade can move first.
He's going to start working his way down from the top side. Juhan and Jackie still trying to keep these Void Grubs interested. Caps backing away towards the mid lane as the bot lane of GIANTX is the first to move. Not resetting. Hansama still on his way down towards bot, means that G2 are looking to contest this, but it's 2-2 so far, and GIANTX have the man advantage, the numbers advantage. Caps TPing back in. G2 could take a fight, but they'd be undermanned because Hansama is still working his way down towards bot. Second Void Grub for GIANTX off this play. They'll secure it. 3-2 so far. Will they look for one more? Hans is showing in bot lane. The Antonio just based, but does have the TP if he wants to rejoin the fight. GIANTX will get their fourth grub. 4-2 in the end as the root caller comes down onto IgNar, and I don't think GIANTX want much more from the play. They got the neutral. Now IgNar has to dash away because Mikyx was looking for that re-engage. Patrik can flap across the wall and answer BrokenBlade in top.
Yeah, they're just happy as G2 to get the plates instead. You've got push there, one in top side for BrokenBlade. On the bottom half, Hansama going to get a couple more for himself. So yes, you get an extra grub as GIANTX, but you spend a lot of time there. Now the TP onto the Antonio.
TP in by BrokenBlade. The Antonio does have a flash, the equalizer coming out, but he's torn it up, and Hansama and BrokenBlade will melt him down. No escape for the Rumble. Hansama gets his first of the game.
I think that was a really smart sequence of play from G2. They don't overcommit trying to fight for the grubs. As Dagda was saying, their priorities are on the side lane. They're pushing top lane, they're pushing bot lane, they have control over mid. It's going to be super difficult for GIANTX to respond. And the moment that the Antonio appears on the bot side of the map, they can leverage the TP to find themselves a pick. Getting themselves another kill, extending the gold lead even more. They don't have great position right now for the Dragon because of the resets that have come through, but it looks like GIANTX are hesitant to start this objective anyway.
And it looks like G2 are just going to start to rotate up towards topside. You can see where Mikyx is. They want to try and catch Jackie's as he gets the lane. Jackie's will just spread out Mikyx, who's going to zone him away from this turret and leave Caps with a little bit more of an opportunity to get those taps onto the tower.
But like, just look at the minimap and you can just see the assignments and how this is how G2 just gotten the better of GIANTX across this series. Mikyx's in a good position knowing, oh, I know what GIANTX is going to do. I'm going to be in a position to assist Caps. He gets himself another plate. Now they walk away. GIANTX is now overstacking top. This now leaves room somewhere else on the map for G2 to potentially put pressure. G2 and Mikyx can move into the bot side river, start threatening this mid tower, maybe even convert that pressure into a dragon. Instead, they might just go for a
Flash
fight.
forward with the quickness, with the charm. Redemption comes out. Caps able to jump across the side. Knocks back Jackie's with the buster shot. Caps is so low. The trigger seed saving him for a second. The Magnet Storm coming out from Mikyx as well, but Jackie's has already found the first kill. Juhan falling low. Mikyx being opened up on. He'll flash across the wall, but Patrik will chase him with a flash of his own. Hunsummer sliding in like Tony Hawk across the wall. Yike surviving with 30 HP. And now Patrick's on the wrong side of the rift. Daisy going to chase him out. And it looks like he's going to sacrifice himself to the tower. Not sure if anyone's hit him recently. Don't think it will be an execute. In the end, it will be Yike picking up the kill because, of course, Daisy got that auto down.
A really nice fight coming out from kind of both sides. I honestly think this was a mistake from G2. GIANTX find a window to just dive on top of Caps, knowing that they should have a damage advantage. And Caps plays it about as well as he can. Nice positioning, nice sidestepping, but then the arrival of Patrik really starts to swing the fight in their favor. Where things start to turn back in the way of G2 is the arrival of Hunsummer, and GIANTX have realized, hang on, we've overcommitted a little too much. If they could get this kill onto Yike, it probably would have been worth it. But Hunsummer ends up picking up that kill. Yike gets this, thanks to Daisy, getting this extra kill onto Patrik. And yeah, a very chaotic fight on the top side of the map that I honestly think G2 didn't have to take, but smart on GIANTX to find that opportunity.
Yeah, GIANTX trying to say, hey, look, G2 going to look for that side lane play, so let's try and catch them out. But just barely able to come out on top. And now Hunsummer going up against Jackie should be able to finish off this tower. We're having Mikyx in support. IgNar not really in a position to go for this. And that dragon is still up and available. Neither team looking for it. As you're saying, G2 looking to get map presence instead, especially with mid lane down. If they can get both these side lane turrets, they're in such a good spot.
Caps, after taking mid, will work his way down towards the bottom side. BrokenBlade can shadow him, does have that hero's entrance. Tower falls in top. Caps jumps onto the Antonio, and I'm not sure the Antonio has a way out of this one. Caps cleans him up for his second kill of the game, 7-2 now, and a 6,000 gold lead for G2.
I mean, it's the story of the series, right? G2's about to go 3-0 towers up in the early game.
Hans gonna get rooted, cleanses. Juhan underneath the tower, lightning crash. Hans needs a hero, and here comes BrokenBlade, but Hunsummer is a mile away. The redemption coming out. Jackie's falling low. Mikyx there with the Magnet Storm, and Hunsummer able to escape. Juhan gonna start to retreat because he knows his team's days are numbered. G2 collapse. They'll take Patrik. They'll take Jackie's. The Antonio's already dead, and Caps is still pushing bots.
G2 brought a literal Goliath to the fight, and it works out beautifully for them. Hunsummer able to just barely escape, and they didn't even need Caps for it. He was just pushing in this bot side the entire time with Rift Herald in tow. This is looking very G2 favored once more.
GIANTX are trying to get scrappy with G2, and things just are not panning out the way that they want. Every single fight, it's going to be another pick here, I think. Do they have the damage?
It's going to be Jackie's joining the fight, but Juhan's already down to about 200 HP. IgNar here for a bit of shielding. Dances in with the battle dance. BrokenBlade falling low, will fall to Jackie's first. And now Mikyx needs to try and get the hell out of dodge. The trigger seed on him buys him a second, but it's not going to buy enough. 2 over to Jackie's. The Antonio now collapsing on Hunsummer, and I'm not sure he wins out this fight. Hunsummer doesn't have the flash, but can just dash across the wall to the relative safety of the river.
Well, that was a bit of an overstep from G2. BrokenBlade and Mikyx say, hey, we're super tanky, we can take this fight, but they could not. The collapse comes down onto Hunsummer. 4 members on the top side, the idea is good, but Zeri, she is an interesting champion in her ability to just glide over walls, and I think at this point GIANTX realized, hang on, we've overcommitted. We've dived too deep trying to get this kill onto a single member, and G2 are able to turn it around relatively easily.
It's also just how frustrating it is to play against Ivern. You go to dive in, as Kai said, try and finish off Hunsummer. Shield, redemption, another shield from the Rell as well. It just was impossible to try and finish him off and end up baiting in GIANTX. So G2 now could go for the dragon. You can see the pings considering that might be the objective that they go for, but at this stage I don't think dragon's going to be the win con for any of these teams, so it may just be a case of trying to keep up pressure on the map. See if you can force GIANTX out of position, and then use the fact you've got BrokenBlade who can come in with an ultimate to put pressure on mid turret, or even just try and zone away people if they defend the turrets.
GIANTX currently looking to collapse on the global. A strategy that has worked so many times for teams in the past. Used to see it a lot against Shen, so you just try and constantly gank the Shen, but here BrokenBlade backs away and Caps continues to push in the side lane. A 7,000 gold lead for G2. 2 items on Caps, most gold in the game. Hasn't even leveled up his boots yet. Jackie's has just pinged over to 2 items himself with the Ginsu's crack and complete. I wonder if GIANTX will want to take a fight. It's only second dragon of the game, first for G2, because of course GIANTX took one earlier on. And as you say, Rob, don't think dragon stacking is really going to be the name of the game this match.
Baron in about a minute's time. I wonder how quickly G2 will look to try and leverage that objective. So far this series, they've been using it as a tool to start fights, and it's been a very effective tool, I will say. BrokenBlade has his eyes set on Patrik.
Still only has 151 stacks this game. It hasn't really had to lane against 2 players too often. It hasn't really had the safety to step up and use that scorching breath to get more stacks. So it's been a bit of a struggle for Patrik. Usually you want to be getting up towards that 225 around the 20-22 minute mark. Here he is going to struggle to do that. Still only on 1 item as well. Not even stacked up his tier as of yet.
Again, I think some of the big takeaways, if you're a G2 fan looking at this series, are...
I'm sorry, 3 control wards in a bush is overkill, lads. I think we should.
Are they definitely not there?
Especially as Hans Sommer could just queue them over the
but there's one left.
So. Genius. Riptail charge in the top lane. As the tier 2 is siege down to about half HP. Nature's Gas coming out from Juhan. G2 able to tank that one up. BrokenBlade on the front line, and no one's really taking any damage on G2 as of yet.
The Caps now, again, it's just a split push menace. It's been the G2 story for so much of playoffs and now into this game as well. He's just going to solo farm up, get into a position where he's always threatening these turrets, and as Tristana, the pressure that you can have on the map is absolutely insane, especially when BrokenBlade can just ult in on top of you if GIANTX ever overcommit there.
The taunt in by BrokenBlade. Patrik having to try and get away. IgNar does land the knock-up onto Mikyx, but even with him tanking the tower, he still only takes about a quarter of his health. Caps clears out the Wolves, will go back towards mid. There's no wave in the top lane, so G2 can't pressure 2 towers at once, but they can definitely take the tier 2 in mid. The Root Caller lands into the Mega Storm, and here comes the hero. He's fresh for the fight. GIANTX forced away. Jackie's ticking to the Ignite. Equalizer down. Jackie's just about survives on the backline, but G2 will use the pressure in mid to open up the base.
It's GIANTX immediately forced to retreat to the safety of their fountain. 21 minutes in, and G2 will crack the base of GIANTX. It's a 10k gold lead already, and GIANTX have barely been able to throw a stone against the Titan that is G2 in this series.
G2 have caught them every step of the way, and this is just great positioning from G2. They knew that GIANTX were moving to try and transition into the mid lane and cover that tower, so they cut them off and cut the feed out from underneath them as well. Beautiful stuff from G2, and it's an easy picking as they find GX in their own jungle.
We talk about non-committal engage from time to time as something that teams really value. Ivern actually has that in spades. You can put the Daisy out, he can get some knockups, Root Caller. You don't have to right-click the target. We have seen players obviously mistakenly click it and go in when they didn't quite mean to, but you can see there Yike just fishing with those Qs, and as soon as one lands on a priority target, everyone dive bombs in. Allows Mikyx a fast track to the back line. It makes it a lot easier for him to lay a CC on top of it.
Especially when 4 of the members on G2 aren't particularly tanky. Like, going into a rumble and a lot of AD carries is not going to be the best of situations, so non-committal engage, fantastic in the meta at the moment, as that's currently what we see a lot of is 3 carries, and G2 playing very well around it. Now BrokenBlade pushing in, gets that top lane turret, and it looks like it's just a fall back to Baron, as that is a very, very dark area for GIANTX.
GIANTX have a tiny bit of vision in that top lane try, but with the TP coming in, I don't really think they'll be able to challenge this one too effectively. G2 are calling GIANTX to the battle. They have a control ward in, but immediately IgNar pays the price for putting it down. Mum is not going to be able to save you from this situation, GIANTX. G2 take the Baron, they'll take the kill, they'll take a 12,000 gold lead. I think they want to take the series.
It isn't really fair to moonwalk over the pit, kill IgNar, and then moonwalk back over with the next Q from Ivern. Like,
it's a thriller,
it's
man.
Too stylish, yeah.
Well,
way too cool from G2. BrokenBlade flanking here as GIANTX trying to defend. IgNar back up to bolster the defenses, but even his contributions don't do much in the face of G2, who continue to march forward. Nature's Glass coming out, Mikyx tanks it, Caps takes a shot as well, but buffers out his jump. The hero's entrance from BrokenBlade will separate the two teams. IgNar forced to dance away, BrokenBlade flashes and lands the two-man taunt. Patrik has to flash away, Caps jumps forward once again with that rocket leap, but can't find purchase on the fight. Instead, they find purchase on the inhib, and that will fall. Top and mid now down. The Baron remains for 2 minutes' time, and G2 are looking to end the series right here, right now. The first Nexus tower is laid to ruins. BrokenBlade almost the same. The Trigger C just in time to save his life. Will G2 continue to advance? Will GIANTX find a way to win out the fight? No TP for BrokenBlade means that likely G2 will allow GIANTX to live to fight another day. Perhaps mistimed recalls here. The twisted advance coming out. Yike stays around. GIANTX looking to collapse. Caps waits across the wall. The TP behind as well on that control ward. Summer can open up. Has that lightning crash, and Juhan's already down to half HP. The Antonio coming for the flank, and Juhan will fall first. The Antonio looking for something, but he can't find it, and the rest of his team has left him to the wolves that are G2. It looked like G2 would need to reset, but GIANTX walked into their gaping maws. And now with Baron remaining for a minute and a half, I think it's all done.
You don't want to throw punches at a man that's walking away, and GIANTX did just that, and G2 came back angry, waving top now. G2 want to make this the quickest game of the series.
The lower bracket run, a G2 speciality. Here they're looking to start it in emphatic style. GIANTX, Patrik, Jackies and IgNar left to try and find a way back in, but Mikyx is having none of it. He puts them back into the fountain, and GIANTX will be taking a long vacation. G2, in dominant fashion, will take the 3-0 and meet up with BDS on Friday.
I mean, if you're a G2 fan, you really couldn't ask for much more. A very clear bounce back from their defeat against MDK, and they just dominated their opposition. Clean play from start to finish across the entire series. G2 looking in form with ultimately a strong read on the meta, which is one of the biggest questions that we have for this team.
Yeah, the fact that you're now starting to see those pocket picks come back out fills you with significantly more confidence for G2, but you can vote for your player of the series at LEC on X, BrokenBlade, Hansama, or Mikyx.
All good options. I think Hansama has had a bit of a haircut if you looked at the picture in the middle. I believe that was Caps. But you can still, you know, if you vote for Hansama, maybe you're also voting for Caps in that situation, you know? Who knows?
Caps did enjoy his sidelines.
He did. Just had a lot of fun in those sidelines on the Smolder. Obviously for GIANTX, commiserations. The end of the line for them. And we did see some strong signs from this team at times throughout the year, but they were never really able to break into the top 5 of the LEC, and we see them falling short once again here in Season Finals.
They made an ambitious change, introducing the Antonio to the roster, and I think they surprised many at various moments. They had some pretty crazy games. I still remember that Gragas performance where he was able to single-handedly turn the game around. But yeah, GIANTX, unfortunately, they couldn't quite solve some of the key issues that they had. They had a core identity that they could never really move away from, and as the teams around them continue to elevate, they kind of stayed the same. So it is very unfortunate. I think this roster does have a lot of potential. I know that Jackies was this player that we kept track of throughout the entire year, only continued to get better, and I'm excited to see what he and many of the other members on GIANTX can show us next year.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just a case of trying to figure out how to work through their mid-game, and at least getting that into a decent position. I feel like this is a roster that could definitely surprise.
Yeah, I think so too. We are waiting, I believe, for a couple of moments as Ginny is going to talk to one of the G2 players. I believe it's Caps. Could be Hansama, but you can never quite be sure these days as to who it is. But yeah, Ginny just getting ready for it. So it'd be good to hear from Caps as well, especially after the disappointment against MDK last week. I think for the team, MDK played really well, but
we don't have to wait much longer.
Yeah, they always expect to win. Ginny's now standing by with Caps in the Marriott Bonvoy post-game check-in.
Thank you, guys. Caps, thank you as well for joining. Congratulations, a very dominant and convincing win here against GX. Looking at the performance that we've seen today from the team and comparing it with the series that we saw against MDK, some of the mishaps that we saw then, we didn't see any of them today. You've only had 1 week to prepare, so what did that look like?
I mean, definitely, I think we were not playing our best last week, and I think we now that our backs are against the wall, you know, and we really have to show up. I think that's where we shine, and it was a fun best of 5 today, and I'm looking forward to all the other best of 5s we get to play, because if we had one last week, we wouldn't even play this week. So definitely nice to get to go here.
So you're having a great time in these best of 5s with the pressure on top of you as well?
I mean, for sure, yeah. I think this is what you want, right? For like an esports career to really play with everything on the line, and I'm just happy we can be here.
It looks like you guys are genuinely thriving under the pressure. I mean, it sounds like you're having fun. Question is, do you think the fans are having fun with the amount of nerves that you're putting them through as well? Because you are in this lower bracket, right? If you do lose, you will be out.
Yeah, for sure. I think I think a lot of fans are quite scared. I think especially last week was definitely. I mean, actually, not even just last week, but also the finals and the semifinals from last split. I think we have had a lot of back and forth games, which makes it a lot of fun to play and watch, maybe, but also definitely quite scary. So we'll clean it up a little bit, but not enough that it gets boring, right?
Okay, so you got to keep the content in there. When you're talking
No problem.
about cleaning it up. Hey, you know what? They're loving this. I guess they're not too worried about those heartbeat monitors. When it comes to cleaning it up, though, in the couple of games you have left, obviously you're playing against BDS next week. It's also going to be a best of 5. What does that cleaning up look like to you?
I mean, I definitely think we are playing more as a team this week. It felt like we were doing less solo plays, and I think a lot of the solo plays were maybe going wrong last week. And I also think we're getting a bit more comfortable with the meta. I think last week we were trying a lot of things, and it was maybe some champions that we didn't necessarily have that many games on. And of course, with Mad Lions also playing some unorthodox strategies, it became a bit out of our comfort zone. But I think this time around there was a lot more things we have played before, and also some the same strategies from our opponents. So yeah, definitely helps making us more comfortable.
It does, because we saw that comfortability today. And I want to talk about the meta, particularly Galio top lane into Rumble. This was something that, if we throw back to MSI, was something we were expecting to see a lot, but we didn't. So what was the Galio pick into?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the Galio was quite strong this game. They had a lot of dive champions, right? They were trying to go really deep with the Rakan and Kai'Sa and stuff, and the Galio was able to peel them off quite well. So definitely quite a strong Galio pick, and I'm happy BB had a good game on it.
He did, indeed. And he's also on the other side with PGL, with Laure and Eragon. Anything you want to say to him?
I'm going to say good job on the series today, but don't get too cocky.
Okay, well, I'm sure you're going to take that into consideration. And Laure, please do take it away.